Highness Princess Anne opened the Earl's Court Motor Show in 1973, she told Reliant's Managing Director Ray Wigan that she would like to visit Reliant one day. Suddenly that day arrived. During the past few days, the three factories buzzed with last-minute preparations and anticipation of Reliant's first royal visit. Now all the final touches are complete. Guests and journalists have arrived. Everyone is waiting to catch a first glimpse of that famous Air Force Blue Scimitar GTE. There she is, at the wheel of her own car, accompanied by her detective, Inspector Trimmings. Wearing an oatmeal-coloured linen trouser suit with a turquoise shirt and matching scarf, Her Royal Highness is greeted by Ray Wigan. Mrs. Wigan, Mr. and Mrs. Snowdon, and Lady-in-Waiting Miss Rowena Brassey escort the Princess into the canteen. Princess Anne had driven herself from her home at Sandhurst in her third Scimitar GTE. The car carries her personal number plate, 1420H, which was given to her by the 1420th Regiment of Royal Hussars, of which the Princess is Colonel-in-Chief. During an informal reception in the canteen, among others, the Mayor and Mayoress of Tamworth, along with Reliant Motor Group executives and their wives, were presented to the Princess. Her Royal Highness's visit to Reliant's three factories begins appropriately with a tour of the Scimitar assembly and finishing lines. She is accompanied by General Works Manager Les Rock and Two Gates Works Manager Charles Kerrier. Princess Anne became Reliant's most celebrated customer in December 1970, when the Queen gave her a Scimitar GTE as a combined 20th birthday and Christmas gift. In February 1973, when she returned from her visit to Ethiopia, her second Scimitar was waiting on the tarmac at Heathrow Airport. Her Royal Highness took delivery of her third Scimitar just a few weeks before her visit to Reliant, and she says that this one is the best yet. In the Scimitar assembly shop, Princess Anne is able to see Scimitar bodies being fitted to the steel chassis. Looking at the fully assembled chassis, the Princess commented on its strength. Doug Oliver of the Scimitar valeting shop talks to Her Royal Highness about a new style wing mirror and explains the mechanical polishing process which gives a high gloss finish to Scimitar paintwork. As the royal party walks through the welding shop, they are able to see how the steel pressings are welded together to form strong steel frames for both the Robin and Scimitar chassis. GTE is not the only Reliant-made vehicle in Princess Anne's garage. Earlier this year, Her Royal Highness took delivery of a tropic green Robin saloon. So she was particularly interested to see the very modern paint and assembly plant built specifically for the Robin in 1973. Princess Anne sees how Robin bodies receive no less than 8 coats of paint. After the body shells have received their coat of primer, they are carefully inspected, and here Ken Nixon explains to Her Royal Highness how any minor imperfections are remedied. The assembly workers in the Robin trim shop have decorated the tracks with Union Jacks and greeted the princess with a cheer. Walking between the 2 high-level tracks, Her Royal Highness responded warmly, stopping frequently to ask people on the track about their work. The Princess was particularly interested to talk to carpet trimmers Joyce Bates and June Hines. When the Robin bodies descend from the high-level track, they are virtually mechanically complete. Here the Princess sees the final stages of Robin production, where the cars go through a lengthy period of inspection, final adjustment, and where necessary, minor rectification. Before being entertained to an informal luncheon by Reliant directors, Her Royal Highness was introduced to shop stewards and management personnel. After lunch, Princess Anne chatted informally with many of the 2 gates administrative staff who had assembled in the canteen. She spoke to people from many and various departments: Mrs. Beryl Bates and Deborah Hutchinson from accounts, Mrs. Frances Elliott from marketing. Meanwhile, outside the canteen, 1,000 people, friends and relatives of Reliant personnel, wait to see Her Royal Highness leave 2 gates. Four-years-old Terry Ann Wedge shyly offers Princess Anne a bunch of sweet peas which she had picked herself and kept safely for the princess during her long wait. Princess Anne asks toolroom foreman Tom Chetwynd how long he has been with Reliant. 36 years, ma'am, says Tom. Do you think you will stay? Replies the princess. The next stage in the princess's visit is a short drive to Kettlebrook with Tony Beardsmore chauffeuring Her Royal Highness's limousine. Works manager Steve Robinson welcomes the princess and escorts her round Europe's largest glass fibre plant involved in the manufacture of car bodies. Steve explains to Her Royal Highness the principles of glass fibre moulding and some of the advanced techniques which Reliant are now using. In the scimitar moulding shop, Princess Anne looks closely at the hand layup process. Deciding, however, that this is definitely not a job for her, she moves on through to the robin moulding shop. In the door-hanging shop, Her Royal Highness pauses for a few words with door driller Tony Town. Princess's final call at Kettlebrook was the canteen to meet members of the administrative staff. Outside, she is cheered by a large group of workers, and she takes the opportunity to talk to apprentice Philip Vallance about Reliant's apprentice scheme. Inside the canteen, Princess Anne learns more about Reliant's training schemes from Group Training Officer Peter Watkins. A visit to all 3 Reliant factories in one day requires a tight schedule and a great deal of stamina on the part of the visitor. It was soon time to leave for Shenstone. During her 5-hour visit to Reliant, Princess Anne inspected every industrial process, showing great interest in the methods by which her own cars were made. She talked with many Reliant personnel, asking about their jobs and work at Reliant. In her turn, Her Royal Highness talked enthusiastically about her Scimitar GTE and Robin. Clearly, she is a very satisfied customer. Stan Munden welcomes the royal party as they arrive at the Shenstone engineering factory. In the canteen, Her Royal Highness talks to Shenstone's staff and then begins a tour of the machine shop. Here she sees how parts for the Robin engines, gearboxes and rear axles are machined and then assembled. This factory turns out 66 engines per day. Most of them are of course shipped to two gates to the Robin production lines. An increasing number, however, are now being used in a wide variety of other functions, some for boats, and some even to drive standby generators for kidney machines. Princess Anne shows great interest in the machine used for balancing crankshafts. The stamina of the royal party is indeed holding up, but our film crew looks a little worse for wear. After a welcome cup of tea, Her Royal Highness says goodbye to her Reliant hosts. At the end of Reliant's most exciting day, Princess Anne drives off for a country weekend at Barnwell Manor. She leaves us all greatly impressed by her friendliness and genuine interest in Reliant Motor Company and all its employees. but above all, she leaves us full of affection and pride.